It is 5:15 on Monday, April 11th, 2016, and the Carroll City Council meeting is now in session. Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please note all council members are present except for Councilman Haley. Our first item this evening is the consent agenda, which is approval of the minutes of the March 28th meeting, approval of bills and claims, and to accept the Tree City USA Award 26th year. Jack, did you have anything? Do you have that then?
Yeah, we do have that, and behind it is just the proclamation for the event. Arbor Day will be, it was always the last Friday in April, so
Okay.
This is just one of the procedures to make sure we stay certified.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep.
I'll look for a motion to accept the consent agenda. So moved. Second?
There's a motion and a second. Seaman?
Yes.
Space? Yes. Cox?
Yes.
Benami?
Yes.
Schlesner?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Are there any requests or oral communications from the audience? Yes. Step forward.
Got a handout, so I'll get a handout.
That's fine, Tyler, yeah.
Sure.
My name is Tyler Nelson. I am a citizen here in Carroll, and I'm here tonight to bring up the issue of the street legality of ATVs and UTVs in the city of Carroll. I work for Olson's Outdoor Power, and that's kind of how this ended up coming around. I meet a lot of people in the ATV world. They're enthusiasts, farmers, landowners that use these type products, and one of the things I keep hearing is when are we going to get these legal in the city of Carroll? So after a while, it's been about a year now since we've had them legal in Carroll County. I went ahead and decided that I would like to go ahead and bring it before the council and just really see what kind of support we could get there.
Sure.
I want to be clear about one thing from the beginning. I do work at a location that sells ATVs and UTVs. I'm coming to you as not only an enthusiast at this time, also as kind of the point man. I mean, I have supporters here with me tonight that have expressed interest in this. So I'm not the only man. I'm just the point guy right now for tonight, bringing this issue forward. I have just a handful of supporters with me tonight. I had intended to name everyone by name, but I'm probably not great with that. And there's been some people sneak in that I may not know. So, you know, these people represent different geographical issues and different walks of life. We have small business owners. We have people that work outside of the city of Carroll, and we have people that work in the city of Carroll that drive from an acreage or vice versa, where they farm outside of Carroll, and so they'll actually leave their home here in the city and drive out to their farm. So we have a couple different walks of life represented tonight in our supporters. I guess to really summarize exactly what we're looking at tonight, we have in Carroll County been street legal now for about a year, and I think that was May that actually went into effect. I could be wrong on that, but I believe that's pretty close. So tonight's main goal is to bring forth the ability to have them street legal in the city of Carroll, which they currently are not. Why we want the ordinance to be written. It creates an issue and some confusion when people that live in Carroll, they have a hard time necessarily separating Carroll County from the city of Carroll, which I kind of get that on a certain level. Where it stops and where it starts can be a little bit confusing to some people. We've had some people request for snow removal. So in the wintertime, you know, there's some people that make an extra buck with their ATV pushing sidewalks and pushing driveways, and that's been one that came up probably more than I had anticipated actually. Another reason, and this is kind of kind of an odd reason, but we get the whole, well, they get to do it type argument. And we have other cities close to us doing it now. So we've got some examples of that as well. How we want the ordinance to look would be just really a mirror of what Carroll County's ordinance looks like. And in your handout there is Carroll County's ordinance that went into effect last May. You can read every last piece, but it just is very congruent to what a motorcycle is. Licensed driver with a minimum of 16 years old. Proof of insurance carried on board the vehicle. The vehicle titled and registered in the state of Iowa, and working head and tail lamps. I believe the verbiage in there is OEM standard, I believe something along those lines. But we are not looking for an ATV where somebody is merely taping a flashlight on the front of it or anything like that. These vehicles are built from the factory with head and tail lights, and so that's the area of safety that we would want to see continued on, as they are with motorcycles. Moving on to other Iowa towns that have legalized ATVs and UTVs. You know, this has been kind of a surprise to me. Denison is I moved up here right after Denison had got this taken care of. And so they were the first one I'd heard about, and I didn't really realize how it was moving through Iowa. We have quite a few counties and cities that are adopting their own verbiage to make these ATVs and UTVs street legal. Lamar's is probably the closest in size right now to Carroll at 9,800. Their population is 9,820. We've also got Denison, of course, Cherokee, Spirit Lake. We've got probably the biggest, kind of interesting example of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, 165,000 people. I talked to somebody there today. He couldn't remember when that actually was. Sergeant Brink in the Sioux Falls Police Department. He couldn't remember when they actually went into effect in the city of Sioux Falls. But and I'll get to what some of these folks had to say here. But it's been in Sioux Falls for a long time with very little issue. If we go back to some of these quotes, I didn't want to just blindly go after it just because someone else is doing it. So, for instance, in Lamar's, I called Police Captain Tim Hopp. He stated that there have been no citations, no incidents, and no complaints. And this January is when they got that put in. He also said that their own police department, the fire department, and the public works department have all purchased vehicles since the ordinance was passed because they found them to be very handy. These utility vehicles can carry 1,000 pounds in the back. For a fire department, for a police department, there's a lot of different uses there. In Denison, I talked to the Sheriff's Department, Corey Utek had actually stated that they hadn't seen any issues, and had positive comments from the community, saw faster snow removal, and last he knew there was a little over 30 people that had adopted onto it, where I believe in Denison they've got a kind of a separate registration process that I'm not sure that we would have to follow. That's just how they do it over there. Talking to Sioux Falls, Sergeant Brink had stated that it was a person problem if there was an issue with an ATV or UTV. It was never that he could think of when it was an equipment problem. And that really, goes really back to about anything we look at, where it's a motorcycle, an ATV. I've even got behind a small personal mobility scooter going down Highway 30 in Carroll, and of course, that can be an issue as well. Golf carts, anything used, that person can use any media to not follow the laws, and that was straight from what Sergeant Brink had said there at Sioux Falls. I guess that's just a quick kind of overview of what I wanted to bring to the table tonight, and I thank you for listening to me, and any questions, I guess, let me know.
Crawford County, they're okay in the county and the city of Denison?
And city limits.
Okay.
Tyler, there are some in town that I have seen that are street legal. Can you explain what the difference is between them and what you're advocating?
Sure.
I do see some.
Yeah, and I can't explain it well, to be honest with you. There is a Chinese company that is able to build in China, assemble in Texas, and there is some kind of an EPA guideline they're able to skirt around, and they're able to get them street legal that way. I have not got a clear answer from either that manufacturer or really any other government entity of why they're able to do that, other than how I understand it, their 17-digit serial number is actually recognized at the DOT level. I would have to look into that part further. I don't know who else I could really turn to on that, but I don't have a great answer for that. That is one particular brand, and you'll notice all three in Carroll are that brand. They leave the same footprint as the machines I'm talking about, same horsepower, same top speed, same load capacity. They are really, for all intents and purposes, the same machine.
Chief Burke, do you have any idea what the difference is?
Just that the federal government's issued them a VIN number, so I don't know the reason behind it.
Okay. So they have a VIN number, therefore legal. Okay.
But all the other brands also have VIN numbers as well, also 17 digit. So I don't know what it is past that.
I tried to research it too, Jerry, and I can't figure it out either.
And you sell
Guess
it.
I'll ask one of the owners.
Yeah, but you sell?
Okay. Any other questions for Tyler?
One other one I'm kind of interested in, do the lights on these turn on automatically? Are they running day and night, the lights on this, or do you have to?
Some are, some are not. Some have
Okay,
a separate switch.
do you know if any of these ordinances require them to keep their lights on in the daytime?
At the daytime, I'm not aware that they have to be on.
Okay.
Anything else for Tyler?
I have one last question. Do you have any idea what the liability insurance that they cover on these? Are they covered just like vehicles?
Whatever
You
this,
purchase them at the same,
yeah.
some of you owners know?
Whatever the minimum would be for like a motorcycle or a car or a truck, that has to follow the same guidelines.
Okay.
That's what any of these ordinances I've read through, that's how they had to be.
And they're not difficult to insure for liability?
No.
No.
Yeah, okay.
That as well. Your standard companies like Farm Bureau, Progressive, my own is through Progressive, and it's
Okay.
just like a motorcycle.
Any more information on where the state legislature is going on this?
Not
Do you
for
know,
this
Tyler?
year. Last I heard, they were gonna make it statewide. It did pass the House and did not pass the Senate.
Okay.
I don't know really where it got.
Why
hung
it
up
did-
there,
okay.
But they had a little different view on it. As I recall, that bill was going to have a fixed speed limit where it was just gonna be 35 no matter what, 45 no matter what. I don't remember one of those two speeds. And I'm not sure if that's what, hung it up in the Senate or not, but, what we're looking for would be congruent to a motorcycle. If it's legal for a motorcycle, have it be legal for the ATV or the UTV in regards to speed.
And still follow the same speed limit as everybody else?
Correct,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Tyler, do you know, is there any safety or any certification programs that somebody could get to be safety certified per se on a vehicle, or?
There are some private companies, like you would find a teenager getting his license through maybe one of those services where you can, can't think of what I'm trying, driver's ed. There are some companies that do that. I guess that would be probably my only answer to that. You could go down that route for that extra training.
Much the same way as a motorcycle, you'd have to have a license for this as well.
Correct, 16-year-old licensed driver.
Do you have to have the motorcycle endorsement then or not?
These particular ordinances that have been passed have not dictated that it had to be a motorcycle license. So that's a good
Thank
point
you.
of where it may not be congruent to a motorcycle, but I think there's probably a good argument for that case as well.
I think the test with the motorcycle is due to balance, right? I mean, that's why you have a differentiator between motorcycle and a four side-by-side is balance. That's why it would take that extra training.
Which, is everybody familiar with an ATV and a UTV? Maybe on the back of the handout, I try to have a picture of the ATV with handlebars and a UTV with a roll cage and steering wheel, where indeed balance is completely out of the equation.
This is like a golf cart.
Correct, a little bit
But
more
the-
suspension and an actual
yeah.
roll cage. In the UTV, in the ATV, no roll cage, handlebars like you'd have on a motorcycle, no seatbelt, of course.
Gerald or Chief Burke, one or the other, what's the process here for us at the city level? How could we proceed with this? Not that we should, I'm asking how do we?
If you choose to consider this, we would need to have an ordinance written, and the chief would write the ordinance. Then you would need to determine whether it contains all the appropriate language that you want in it. You can have very nondescript, and then you can have must meet following certain things, and that would be a policy decision. And it would require readings just like any other ordinance.
Chief, do you have any input?
I'm not a fan, I'm not for them, so I kind of go to you guys to decide. ATVs, I think, is a huge mistake, just not safe. UTV may be the next step higher. Your ATVs in Harrison County, a month ago, the female died, wrecked the ATV on a road. They're not made for hard road surfaces, so there's a warning sticker right on them, says not for hard road surfaces. But if that's something you guys wish to overlook, I got no problem writing an ordinance. You gotta give me time though. It's, this is a big ordinance that get put into place. The county ordinance is pretty weak, I think. There needs to be a lot more restrictions on it, including registration. We have to do our own registration in-house, so there'd be a lot to take to do it. Not that it's a big deal to do it, but just want you to think about the safety issues before you move forward with anything. I have a bunch of stuff. I didn't know it was coming tonight, so I didn't bring it with me. But there's a lot of studies, mostly against, but there's a few studies out there that would maybe support it. But you're pretty much just bringing farm machinery onto the road, so you got to be careful as to how you want to play that role.
Can we separate it, and could we essentially legalize UTVs and not ATVs?
Absolutely. The state says no, you can't have them on the highway. So Highway 7130 is out. You cannot ride on Highway 7130, period. Even if we were to make an ordinance, you can't do it. The state overrules that, so that's out right away.
They can
you
cross.
Could separate them. You could separate
They can cross.
Glidden said no. Coon Rapids allowed UTVs only, I think. So they say ATV is a straddled machine, so no straddled machines with 4 tires type of stuff. So you can separate them.
You can cross that highway.
Yeah, crossing.
You can go from
Just
point A to
not ride
point B.
on it, yeah.
You can't ride on it.
We have some good supporters here. What are your thoughts, people? I guess I'm curious. ATVs, UTVs, any difference in your guys' minds?
Safety thing is interesting to me too, because I'm just driving around town and I'll see a 14-year-old adolescent driving a mini bike around town with a flag on it. And you would think that would be more dangerous than, as somebody who's 16 and older riding a side-by-side. But, I haven't seen any of those views of, having an adolescent drive with a little flag in the back and she's zipping down or he's zipping down, going 40 miles an hour on these things with no helmet on. These have to be dangerous, aren't they? And how do you compare that to like an ATV?
Specifically, I'm interested, say the four-wheeler straddle mount, if you will, versus the UTV style. Are most of you looking for utility vehicle? Are you looking for the straddle type? What are you looking for, I guess?
I think the side-by-side. Yeah, side-by-side.
Side-by-side's mine then? Okay, thank you very much.
Sure, thank you.
I would actually like to add something,
Please.
some information. I'm Shirley Canny, former Litterdale City Council. We did get it approved in Litterdale. I talked to Matt with the DNR when we got it approved, and he gave me some information. Carroll County has 575 four-wheelers that are registered currently, and there's 203 UTVs. In Litterdale, we had 3 and 3. I can tell you right now where 3 are, because we have 3 of them ourselves. And we live on a farm just outside of Litterdale, and we use it a lot. It would be nice to be able to drive it into Carroll and shop, because they're handy. They're fuel efficient. But I said, our main thing was licensed drivers, that it be insured, that it have headlights and taillights, and that they be registered, which, it's laws that need to be followed.
Yours are side-by-sides versus the straddle mount?
Yes, we have Polaris Rangers.
Okay, thank you.
Ma'am, I hear you use the phrase, they're fuel efficient. What do you mean by fuel efficient? Can you tell me what you mean by that?
Well, get probably 50 to 70 miles a gallon. So they're fuel efficient for us to drive, back and forth, like to come to Carroll to get groceries or do some shopping. They're only legal to cross the highway, but like for us living in Litterdale, we could easily go county roads and get to Fairway and get back again. And I says, I know our gas prices are going down, but I said, still, people look for the dollar, bottom dollar.
What was your name again?
Shirley Canny.
Shirley. Okay, sorry. Thank you, Shirley. Yes, sir.
I'm Jim Halbert. I have a Polaris side-by-side, lights, signals, everything. And I live on the south side of town, about 2 blocks out of town. And to get to the farm, it's so I can work, pay my taxes in town, I gotta get out there with this thing. And they are very efficient, and I'd like to have it in town so I can ride back and forth. It's very serviceable, usable vehicle for the city, and I think they are safe. But I do believe there needs to be insurance, liability, registration, license, everything, and 16 years or older to drive. And I think we could write a pretty good ordinance and it wouldn't be a problem. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Tyler has some stats too that are really interesting about.
Is this the forum for that? I mean, I don't know how far
Yeah.
we wanted to go with that.
Well, I want to give you about 5 minutes because we're going to keep going. Yeah. Do you have like a handout or something?
No,
Oh.
I mean, again, like Mr. Burke had brought up the death that we had here recently, and that's a horrible thing. And that seems to be what happens with the media, is that we don't hear the whole story where there was 2 people on a single passenger machine. One of them's a child that's being balanced, so one hand's not even on the handlebar protecting the child. But he's right. I mean, people are injured on ATVs and UTVs. There's no question about it. People are injured on bicycles. People are injured on motorcycles. I was cruising through some stats, and bicycle-related fatality to ATV-related fatality is interesting to look at. I'm not saying that's a complete apples-to-apples comparison, but there are some statistics that can get skewed to look bad. ATVs automatically, and UTVs, kind of look bad in the public eye as a knee-jerk reaction until you take time to really break down what these vehicles are now. These aren't the early 1980s balloon tire 3-wheelers anymore. These are vehicles that don't go over 15 mile an hour in some case unless the seatbelts are plugged in. These are vehicles with doors now, in some instances, roll cages that are ROP certified. So while there are some definite instances like what you're talking about, it's not all doom and gloom. There are some safety features already in place, and a lot of time, an OE doesn't want to get involved with this type of a situation, so they will definitely put not for hard road use. That doesn't always mean that the vehicle can't handle it, but more maybe that they don't want to have to go down the road of making them street legal 50 state.
Okay. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you all for coming in and telling us. I think we'll keep right on moving. The next item on the agenda is ordinances, and the first ordinance is Carroll City Ordinance Chapter 56 Amendment, and Chief.
This is the same ordinance I brought to you at the last meeting. Since then, I have gotten no feedback for or against the ordinance, and nothing else I can really tell you about it. If you guys have any questions about the ordinance, feel free. If not, I would recommend that we waive the second and third reading, just because I haven't gotten any feedback, and go ahead and move forward with any approval that you might find necessary.
Any council people hear anything about that amendment either? No. Okay. Any questions for Chief? Any statements, anything?
You're still not coming to take away my 5-pound min pin, right, Chief?
No. We've got
All
no
right.
complaints on him. So.
We'll try to keep it that way.
If there's no other questions for Chief Burke, I'll look for a motion.
So moved. I thought you were pausing in there. Go ahead, read the rest.
We're considering and waiver of the second and third reading of the Carroll City Ordinance, Chapter 56.
Second.
So moved.
Second.
There is a motion and a second to waive the second and third readings. Benami?
Yes.
Space? Yes. Haley?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Fleshner?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
And I'll need a, go ahead.
To adopt?
And second?
There's a motion and a second. Seaman?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes.
Space? Yes. Benami?
Yes.
Fleshner?
Yes.
Thank you.
Ordinance is adopted.
Our second ordinance this evening is in regards to the cemetery ordinance update, and Laura.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This process started quite some time ago. We received a letter back in February of 2014 from the Iowa Insurance Division That is the division at the state that deals with and oversees and examines any perpetual, or any city, or excuse me, not city, any cemetery, either city or non-city. Back in February 2014, they had requested a bunch of information of how we manage and how we operate our cemetery. So I sent that in, and they did what they called a desk audit review. Then in December of 2015, we received a letter back from them stating some of their findings, and there were some areas that we were deficient in, as they would see it, that was not necessarily following state code, where I would say the things that, where they say it needs to be changed, were things we were doing anyway, we just didn't have it documented. So some of that included changing the language or adding language to what we call our certificate of interment rights, which we've worked back and forth with them to get that updated. We're making the final changes with that. And then also is an update to our ordinance, which is before you tonight. Like I said, the ordinance language that is here before you is sample language that they had supplied and said, this is what we believe you need to have in place to be in compliance with Chapter 523 of the state code. And like I mentioned before, this information is stuff that we've been doing, we just didn't have it documented. For instance, we are documenting that when we receive money for the perpetual care, the internment fee of, you maybe hear it called you're buying your cemetery plot. Basically, you're purchasing internment rights. We charge $500. State code says that you have to put into a perpetual care fund an amount equal to or greater than 20% of your gross selling price for $50, whichever is more. We have been doing 50%, so we are in compliance, we just never had it documented. So that's one example of where I said, we are in compliance, we just didn't have it documented, and so this will document it now.
So right now, we're at $500, you said?
Yes,
And $250 goes to that fund?
yes.
This is it for the perpetual care to take care of the cemetery after we close it?
Yes.
How much has to be in that? I mean, how long does that perpetual care, is it 30 years?
I
Is there a
don't know,
time
I
limit?
don't believe state code
Does it say anything about that?
says anything about that.
Okay.
We're currently in the,
Perpetual code balance or perpetual code requirements to?
Perpetual code requirements by the state, like out at the landfill, if they close the landfill, they have to have enough money set aside to care for it for 30 years. So
They
that's what-
quantify it.
Yeah,
Yeah, this doesn't quantify.
they don't, we don't have
But
anything like that.
perpetual is perpetual.
perpetual.
So it's
Forever.
for eternity.
Perpetuity.
So what, when the money runs out, that's not our problem.
I'll probably be long
The
and
grass
gone.
goes tall.
You guys.
It doesn't get mowed.
It won't matter.
Okay, very good. I just know one section has that they say it has to be for at least 30 years. So okay, very good.
Any other questions? Otherwise, I'd look to waive all three readings and adopt the ordinance.
So moved.
Oh, wait, first, are we going to waive all three readings?
Yes.
Okay.
Move to waive all three readings.
Second.
Who's it? Jerry?
Jerry.
All right, there's a motion to waive all three readings. Base?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Fleshner?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Benami?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes.
Motion's approved.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
There's a
It's way off
There's a motion
kilter
and a
tonight.
second to adopt the ordinance. Benami?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Fleshner?
Yes.
Base?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted.
Thank you.
We'll get back on song for you here, Lori.
All right, we will move to resolutions, and our first resolution is the High Ridge Road HMA resurfacing contract, and Randy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On March 15th, the DOT accepted bids for the High Ridge Road asphalt resurfacing project. The bids are included in your memorandum. The DOT did identify the bid winner as OMG Midwest. They did disqualify the 10-Point Construction Company bid for lack of non-responsiveness to their disadvantaged business enterprise goal. I've included, well, that bid exceeds the estimate by about $193,000, or approximately 20%. So it's well over what we originally estimated. I did include the current projected total project costs. And now with this bid of OMG Midwest being $1,342,739.40. Also have included the projected funding for the project. That it has been presented, was presented during the hearing. This list includes an additional line from the road use tax fund, if you so desire, to award the contract, to balance the funding with road use tax funding in the amount of approximately $200,000 to be amended into the current budget. Unless there are any questions, I'd recommend that you consider this and award the contract to OMG Midwest at their bid price.
The federal grant is $480, so
Yes,
we're getting
it is.
federal money. And if we don't do this, we probably lose the federal money.
If you don't do it, your next alternative would probably just be to reject the bids and go back to bid at some time in the future, whether it's immediately or postpone it for a time, and then we would need to apply to extend the federal funding to a different time frame.
Did they just simply provide you with the price for Division 1 and 2? They didn't break it down any further to see kind of where our projections missed or anything, did they?
Yeah, it's broken down into bid items, and there are nearly 50 bid items in the contract. As far as where the majority of the difference is, within the asphalt tonnage itself, there's a difference of almost $100,000 from the estimate. The other item that is very surprising, and there's an example of why it's hard to estimate, was in the mobilization. The estimate for mobilization was about $42,000. The low bidder, or not low bidder, the bid winner, actually, mobilization was $106,000. So there's $60,000 of that difference. But the high bidder, the mobilization was $670,000. Now why and how can you possibly anticipate that would be that much money? There is no way. I mean, the low bidder that was rejected, mobilization was $88,000. So that was twice what we'd estimated, but the upper end was $670,000. So how do you estimate something like that?
It's too big, that's too great of a...
We don't know how to do that and try to hit it.
You could rebid it out again, but you could get something completely different too.
You can.
Yeah.
We discussed recommending rejection of the bid because at the 20% mark, there's a real consideration for rejection of the bids. But will they be better later in the year? Probably not. Will we even gain anything by doing it next year? Maybe, and maybe not. We don't know if we will or not. One of the things you'd probably do is lose your high bidder so that there may not be much bid competition left. Now, because now everybody knows what everybody's pricing is. And will they change their pricing? Probably not. Who knows if they will or not. But anyway, that was $160,000 approximately of the difference. And then the storm sewer and storm sewer related items were clearly 20 to 30% over what we had estimated. And in the industry, underground work, I've heard from others, the underground contractors are really getting full of work. I mean, there's just a lot of work out there for them. So
they can go getting a premium for...
Yeah.
You go through the second time, you might not get any because they're too full.
That's possible.
What's the start date on this?
This late start date, I think, is early in June.
So if you put this off again,
To
Right.
bid this again under the federal aid requirements, we had to submit this 8 weeks before bidding to meet federal aid schedules. And on a rebid, we've never done it, so I'm not certain if they would again have us submit 8 weeks prior to that bid letting. But it's possible that it would be at least 2 months before it would bid again, if you wanted to go, back to back, kind of.
Mhm. Any other questions for Randy?
Hey Randy, what is that disadvantaged business enterprise? What exactly is that?
There's a percentage goal set on every contract by the DOT in dollar amounts or percentage amounts that on federal aid projects, the money, it must go to a disadvantaged business enterprise. And that designation now encompasses the former minority business enterprise and women business enterprise. So they're all under one tag right now. So there's a goal percentage made. Contractors, general contractors, have to approach those two subcontractors to try to solicit a bid from them. If they receive a bid that's within acceptable limits, they have to use it. Otherwise, they have to convince the DOT that they've made a good faith effort to contact and solicit a bid from disadvantaged business enterprise. And those percentages or dollar amounts vary throughout the state, and ours isn't large, but there is some on federal aid contracts. In some other locations in the state, it's a larger percentage of those contracts.
Thank you.
I guess for the amount of people that showed up here for that public hearing that night, I think a lot of them were ready to get this done and get it over with. I think there's a lot of frustration up there on that street anyway, so.
Well, and this is what we said we would do when the gas tax went up. We committed to using as much of the road use tax to getting the infrastructure of the streets
built
done,
back
so.
up. Yes. Any other questions, statements? Any other comments? If not, I'll look for a motion for consideration and passage and approval of the resolution awarding the contract for the High Ridge Road hot mix asphalt resurfacing project to OMG Incorporated, doing business as Tri-State Paving, at their bid price of $1,149,123.40.
So moved.
Second,
There is a motion and a second. Seaman?
yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Manami?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes.
Fleshner?
Yes.
Base?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you. And we will move on to the second resolution, is a golf cart lease agreement. And Jack,
Thank you, Mayor.
you bet.
Tonight we have the golf course lease agreement. There's a couple different options for the council to look at. First, we want 30 new 2016 golf carts. The ones we have now, Easy Go 2010. Lease was up last year, so we've ran these the end of last year, and so far through this season, we've gone through with those. Pretty good carts overall, so we had a few minor glitches, but it seems like talking to our local company who deals with these on a daily basis, that is really not an issue. So we have 30 carts. On the second, or I guess towards the back, you have the Excel sheet that kind of goes over the bid opening. We had 3 bids. Easy Go, Miller & Son Golf Cars from Britt, Iowa. NB Golf Cars from Des Moines, Iowa. And then Harris Golf Cars from Dubuque, Iowa. And the first column is each cart per year lease, $1,122.27. Take that number times 30, that gives you your per year lease cost. And then take that times 4 is where you get the total lease of those carts. And numbers follows with NB and Harris Golf Carts. $1 buyout at the end of the 4-year lease. The next column is the purchase of the current 30 golf cars that we have. Easy Go $75,000, NB Golf $66,000, and Harris Golf $75,000. So if you take that lease price, the third column, minus the purchase of the 30 carts, that's how you get the end of the, how I would say the end cost of the carts. So for example, Easy Go 134, 672, 40 minus 75,000. Your end of lease payment cost is 59,672. That's what we've done the last 2 times that we've had golf cars. And this time, I just wanted to see what price would be to purchase outright, so you wouldn't have to pay interest, or the city wouldn't have to pay interest. So again, we asked for a price just to buy 30 outright, 30 cars outright, and Easy Go, for example, 126,630. They gave the same amount on the credit for the 10 Easy Go cars. So that brings a net total, which is the low bid of all the 3 bidders, $51,630. Going back, looking at budgets and talking with some of the golf cart manufacturers, these people that we have, I said, you know, if we're looking at a new lease, what would the cost per year be? And they gave me an estimate about $25,500. As you can see, all 3 are above that. So that is one of the advantages to purchasing outright. With that, at this point, I'll go ahead and answer any questions, then we'll go into my recommendation.
So the purchase would be for 4 years. You'd have the carts for 4 years? Or as long
If we
as
do
you
a
want?
lease.
If you do a lease?
Yeah, if we do a lease, we'd probably do similar to what we did this time. 4-year lease, own them, and run them for probably another year. On average, golf carts with trail fees, year golf memberships, and people that just come out and rent a cart when they're playing 18 holes, 9 holes, we generate about $90,000 a year. So obviously this gets paid off very quickly. So that has been a nice source of revenue. Any questions with the lease? And there are some other, if we want to go with the lease, there's some steps that we'll need to do in order to do the lease agreement. My recommendation would be to purchase them outright. Today, we have $22,630 in the budget. We were going to try to bid this out earlier in the year, but just with all the other projects and stuff, we held off. July 1, we have $25,500. So the total of those 2 together is about $47,000. The low bid, $51,630. There's a shortfall. We would absorb that in our budget.
Is the intent, if you buy them, to keep them longer than the 4 years?
Yeah, we'll keep them 5, unless we have major issues that are, you know, that we're not predicting now. But we'd probably keep them for 5.
And you probably won't be able to answer this right now, Jack, and I probably should have brought this to you earlier, but is there a big price difference as far as, is there a value fall off after that 4th year to that 5th year? In terms of it being 1 year?
The percentage, yeah. That, yeah. I'd have to do a little bit of research and talk to the companies and see if is it 500 per year that you lose every year, you keep it longer.
Okay.
Golf cart, if, for instance, purchase $126,630 divided by 30 would be $4,100 per cart, if my math is right. Maybe $4,200. And our trade-in on $75,000 at 30 is $2,500. So
wouldn't another advantage of purchasing be that you'd have some value at the end of this instead of the lease where it's gone?
Correct.
Right?
yeah,
I'm sorry, Jerry, what did you ask? I didn't hear you.
Well, if you purchase them, even if they're only worth $100 at the end of 5 years, that's $100 you don't get back if you lease it.
Well, that's not entirely true,
no.
because our lease
That's my question.
Stone.
Our lease
the lease is
structure is a
gone.
dollar buyout at the end of all.
where your value
Your
is.
buyout is in this figure then, so.
If you look at the total lease price, $134,672. subtract 126,630, you have $8,042 difference. That's where you're saving your money. And just time for us to, you know, make sure we get the lease signed, and there'll be some legal expenses if we continue with the lease, to put in the paper. There's some minor fees that we'll have to deal with if we decide with the lease. Warranty is the same as a 4-year warranty, whether we're on the lease or we buy them outright. Easy Go, we have a local dealer, H&H Sports, that we work with. If we would have went with NB Golf Cars, they would be sent to Des Moines. So another advantage with Easy Go.
Jack, how much will it cost us to maintain these golf carts?
First couple years, not as much, but if you need to buy a new battery, it's about $150 per battery. Oil changes, all those will be worked with H&H. We've averaged, I'm trying to remember, about $1,800 to $2,500 a year early on for just routine maintenance, oil changes, checking battery, just checking the golf cart.
These are all gas carts, or are they electric?
Yeah, all gas.
They're all gas.
Yep.
So does the lease provide us that benefit? Do they replace certain things during that 4 years of that lease?
Right.
What benefit do they provide us over owning it?
When I asked him, I said, what would be a disadvantage, advantage between the lease and own? He said nothing. It'd be the same.
So the lease doesn't have a service contract with it where they do all the oil changes?
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Right.
Oil, similar to your car, if you go oil changes, you'd pay for those. If we had a bad tire, if someone ran over glass with a tire, that wouldn't be under the warranty. But anything with the engine, if the seat fell off or baskets fall off, different stuff like that, that would be under warranty. Someone runs into
the oil changes isn't included
No.
in when you do the lease. You're paying for those anyway.
We're paying for those
We're paying for them already,
Yeah.
whether we leased
Yeah.
it or owned it,
Yeah.
so it wouldn't matter.
We had a drive shaft. I can't remember the exact title of a part that went bad. It was under warranty, so they replaced it.
But we would have the same warranty if we bought them though, right?
Yes. Yep.
So essentially this lease, we're paying $8,000 to pay yearly payments instead of a one-time
Yes.
payment.
Exactly.
It's like $8,000 worth of interest that we could save.
Right.
And then, Jack, your budgets are gonna be impacted a little bit differently, as you'll have, say, every 5 years, you'd have a repurchase of golf carts theoretically.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas a lease payment would be budgeted across the
Yeah. Yeah.
term of the lease. Was it 4 years on this one?
4 year. Yeah.
4 years.
The way we were gonna have this set up, if we were gonna do a lease, we'd get them in June. First payment would be in July. So the $22,500 we have right now would just sit in the budget. We wouldn't spend it. It'd be carried over. Then we'd have the $25,500, which we don't have enough money for. We'd have to start budgeting after year one. We'll do a budget amendment for 2017 budget to $33,668.10. Then that would be our new number the next 3 years under golf cart lease line item.
Otherwise, this is something that then go into our capital improvement plan, I'd assume? Or maybe, no, it wouldn't go
No.
as far as CIP. I'm sorry, but we'd be looking out to
Operations, general fund.
pay
just
the trade, yeah,
Yeah.
general
Yeah.
fund.
Is 30 carts all of our carts?
Yes.
That's all of them?
Tournaments, major events, we usually run about another 5 to 10.
Would
We
there be-
have,
Go ahead, Jeff.
and we have usually June, July, August, because we need more carts. Denny or H&H will rent us a golf cart per month. It's $100, $150, I can't remember the amount, to rent per month. So we get another 4 that we rent per month. But we generate revenue to pay that off very easy.
Is there a cost benefit to ordering more? Like if ordering 30 versus if we were to only get 15, or that, is there a cost benefit to getting 30? I mean, you might not be able to answer that, you probably have to.
Yeah, there might be a cost benefit to getting more cards.
Well, the reason I'm asking that is maybe going forward, would it be reasonable to stagger the purchases?
Right.
Maybe in 3 years, we sell off 15,
Right.
And then 5 years, we sell off the other 15 and stagger those purchases. We're
Sure.
not flipping that around and having a big budget hit.
Yeah, yeah,
Every 5 years.
Yeah.
Just a thought going forward. So-
sure, yeah.
But if there's a major cost difference, if you order 15 versus 30, if you get a benefit to doing that.
Yeah, I'd have to ask them.
Okay.
Like a price per, like a discount if you order more.
Right,
Yeah.
quantity discount.
Yeah.
The local company was afforded an opportunity to bid on this too, and,
They wouldn't,
want
they were gonna bid on it,
okay,
yeah. What my understanding is these 30 carts will probably get sold to them. They'll want the used carts,
The trade-ins.
the traded, yeah, they'll get those.
I got it, okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Jack? Comments? If not, I'll look for a motion for consideration and approval of the alternate bid of an outright purchase of 30 Easy Go karts for $126,630 minus the sale of the 30 2010 Easy Go cars for $75,000 for a total purchase price of $51,630 from Miller and Sons Golf Cart, Britt, Iowa.
So moved.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Seaman?
Yes.
Base?
Yes.
Benami?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes.
Fleischner?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you. Our final resolution is the renewal of a lease agreement with the Carroll Community School District, 2016, and was that for Jack?
Yeah.
You had that one? Okay.
Before you is the resolution. This has been approved already through the school board. This has been an agreement we've had with them ever since I've been with the city. They farm that land to the south of the cemetery. It's a nice program. They get a learning experience, and then it's an area we don't have to mow, spray for, maintain. It's worked real well. And again, this is just before you for your approval, so they can continue to farm that.
This comes up every year, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. This won't impact that maintenance garage.
I don't recall it going into
Sitting
that
in
area
car,
very
okay.
much, but if it does, we'll adjust our lease payment.
Okay.
Yeah, $1.
The zero-sum game.
Yeah,
Thanks for looking out for us,
you
Jack.
betcha.
You are good. Any other questions or comments for Jack?
I would move that we approve the agreement between the City of Carroll and CCSD that would allow the Carroll Area FFA chapter to farm crops of approximately 6 acres of the city cemetery property.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Benami?
Yes.
Base? Yep. Cox?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Fleischner?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you. And finally, we'll get to reports, and first report is the street resurfacing 2015 project, and we'll get back to Randy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. 10-Point Construction has substantially completed our street resurfacing 2015 project. Their date of substantial completion was last fall, November 23rd, 2015. The work completed on the contract to date is $1,172,088.87. At this point, we can't determine the final contract cost because the seating on the project and a pending change order are not determined yet. Substantial completion is identified as the point in time when the project can be used as it was intended. It's not final completion of all the work. That's why we term it substantial completion. And the reason this is coming before you at this time is the contractor has applied under state code for a partial release or early release of partial retainage. There's currently 5% of this $1.17 million is being withheld as a retainage under code. The contractor can apply for the reduction of that retainage if he performs certain activities required under state code, which he has done. Notification of his subcontractors, sworn statement to the city that he has done so. Those have all been taken care of. So if this is accepted tonight, we'll release the retainage, all of the retainage, with the exception of 200% of the undone items. So actually, that's, the retainage is approximately $58,000 currently, and the value of the undone, 200% of the undone items is approximately $9,800. So we would be releasing 4,800 and some, or 49,000 and some dollars. And that number was in your approval of bills and claims tonight. So that's what it was for. But that's why it comes to you tonight. Seating, we're scheduling to get it done. Actually, they came back in and redid some work late last week that was required, and they've got a few more days of that, some removal and replacement to do also. So unless there are any questions, I'd recommend acceptance of this certificate of completion for the street resurfacing project.
If the seeding doesn't take, will they come back and reseed again? Who's responsible for a second one?
That's the theory, is that certainly under the contract, they are responsible for seed being established.
Okay.
Now, the definition of established is subject to interpretation.
Okay.
And we have, on very rare occasions, been able to get a contractor in a year after the seeding.
I hear
We've
the attorney
attempted
snickering
to-
next to me, so it's, when you said loose interpretation, okay. Hopefully you don't get involved.
Why wouldn't we just want them to come back and get it done before we release their,
Get the work done?
yeah?
We would prefer that, and that's why it hasn't come to you before now.
I guess I just mean if you're going to release some of what you're holding for them, what are the chances they're not going to get to it and get to it appropriately and quickly?
The chances can go down, certainly. You don't hold as big a hammer to get them back. But unfortunately, under state code, that had recently changed to where, more recently changed, to where they can apply, and under state code, if they follow the requirements of the code, then we're obligated to release the retainage. That wasn't the city's lobbying to have that code changed. You know, obviously it was to the contractor's benefit to do that. And, yeah, you're exactly right. We hold much better, we're in much better position holding 58,000 than we are 9,800.
So we'll still have some retained left?
Yes,
Okay.
9,800.
$9,800, okay.
Has our experience with this contractor been pretty good? Do you believe they'll take care of it?
It has been pretty good. 10 Point Construction has,
Well, they're the ones doing High Ridge Road anyway, aren't they?
No.
they're not.
Well, that
They were a
was
bidder.
Tri-State pay, that's right.
Yeah, they were a bidder on it
Yeah.
and may end up being a subcontractor. I don't know. We haven't received that list yet. 10 Point has done several projects for us, and by and large, they have pretty much done what they said they were going to do.
And we have Third Street coming up yet, too,
Yes.
that they may bid on.
They may be qualified to be a bidder on that, too. Yeah, they're not an underground contractor.
Okay.
Lots of patching.
Any other questions for Randy? Comments? If not, I'll seek a motion for consideration and acceptance of the certificate of substantial completion for the street resurfacing 2015 project.
So moved. Second.
There is a motion and a second. Haley?
Yes.
Fleshner?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Base?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes.
Benami?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you. Let's see, then. I don't have any comments. We have another closed session this evening, so we will head into that next.
Need a motion to close.
Yeah.
Legal to go into closed session?
Council is legally authorized to go into closed session, yes.
Motion to go into closed session?
Second.
Haley?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Base?
Yes.
Benami?
Yes.
Fleshner?
Yes.